the month canceled due to illness and people being out of town. Kevin, can I ask you to say the prayer, and Commissioner Hickok, you listen to the prayer.
Lord, here we are again, thanking you for all the blessings you've given us. We thank you for your hedge of protection around us during the storm, your favor. Father, we pray that you would be with each one of us, help us to make the decisions that are pleasing to you, Father. We thank you for loving each one of us. We pray that you would be with the people that are here and their families, and the knowledge that they take away from here would be accurate and correct. We pray that you would continue to bless this county, lead, guide, and direct us. We ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank everybody for being here. The first order of business is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Chair?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Approval of the minutes for the regular meeting September 9th and the call meeting for September 23rd. Trust you read over those minutes, and do I have a motion to approve those?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Chair, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes. Presentations, announcements, there is none. Citizens' concern, we have Tony Sumrow for public safety,
He's not here.
and he is not here, so we will skip over that. Public hearings, there is none. Old business. Under old business, we had Spec Eccles coming to discuss the pickleball courts. He was not able to be here at this meeting, so we're going to continue to table that for the next meeting in November. Last meeting we had a recommendation from the administrator to hire a third attorney, and I think Mr. Drawdy has something to say about that, so Mr. Drawdy, you have the floor.
I was going to just let the board know that I'm going to withdraw that recommendation on the third attorney. I had, as just a little bit of a historical reminder for not only, I mean, I know the board knows, but for the citizens as well. On the September 23rd call meeting that we had, the day after that, on the 24th, is I sent D.A. Higgins a letter explaining the motions that took place on the 23rd. He responded with, "That sounds like good news." On the 26th, I got a text from him stating that he appreciated the commissioner's willingness to pay the state supplements for the 2 state-paid attorneys, but that he had found alternate funding sources for that, and that he needed more flexibility in that position so that he wouldn't need the, for the county to pay for those state-paid supplements. And so then this past, I guess not yesterday, but the Wednesday before that, on October the 9th, I'd received a phone call from him, and he had stated that he had pulled all the attorneys out of the Wayne County office and moved them to the Brunswick office. And so when I talked to him about it and asked him, or reminded him that I was trying to get the third attorney funded for that office, he said that now if we were going to fund that position, and I got the numbers on the board, we would have to, initially, going back to the 23rd, the current third attorney that was in the office was receiving a salary of $60,000, benefits were $17,206, so we would have basically paid for that position with $77,000. He's now saying that we have to fund 2 positions at the top paid scale that the state sets, which is $102,000, $660. Benefits are $28,793, then plus a $10,000 supplement. So you're talking about $141,453 for just one ADA. Now, he did say that it wasn't that he would spend that amount, but we would have to budget that amount in order for him to have the flexibility to hire someone. So, I mean, due to the fact that, at least from the limited news that we've gotten out of this whole situation, it appears that what got him into the situation was spending too much money on attorneys and other things. So I can't find it wise to recommend to y'all for a third attorney to try to fund 2 of them at that pay scale and then expect that he's going to find an attorney for less than that.
So if nobody minds, let's back up and take a quick refresher on how we got to today. We all just went through an election cycle where the district attorney was on it. At no point in time did the district attorney say that he's $900,000 short and he can't pay his employees. That didn't come out till after the election was over. The one job, there's a lot of arguable jobs that this Diaz does. The one thing they cannot move away from is money. At the end of the day, when things go wrong with government money on the local level, the buck stops right here. So when this board had a very long meeting on that budget for that money and requested, I don't know that audit was, I don't know we requested an audit, but we certainly talked about requesting an audit.
Yes, ma'am, we
So,
did.
how we got from October 24th to
September 24th. Yes, ma'am,
September
Tom.
24th to thank you very much, to you either do it my way or else, because that's where we're at. That's where we're at. You do it my way, or I'll take all of your ADAs away. That's the way it is. You will do it my way, and how dare you ask a question of a former employee of the district attorney's office. So here's my suggestion. I don't respond well to a bully. That is what this is. So when I read the newspaper today, which I don't do very often, I walked this morning, went to get a protein drink, and that headline jumped out at me, and I was in utter shock. So I had 2 options. I can get on the phone, make phone calls, or turn on Facebook Live. And I thought, well, for once, let me try a different approach, because some people say I'm harsh. So I got on the phone and made phone calls at the state level. And I'm like, hold on a minute. So we do have options. Twice in the last 5 years, the legislature, the state legislator, has voted to split judicial circuits. The threshold has been about a population of 200,000. They've done it in Columbus and they've done it in Coweta. We are ripe for a split, from my completely uneducated stand, but I would really like to ask our county attorney if that is a viable option and can we do it?
I definitely think it's a viable option. I don't think it's something that we can do by ourselves.
I know it has to go through legislature.
So yes, that. And I'm going to back up a little bit and kind of tell you what I know a little bit about the past. And Mr. Drawdy, I know we've talked some conversations that that you know and about what's kind of transpired throughout the circuit for a number of years. I think there was at least one, maybe two occasions where the idea, well, let's back up. So each county, just so everybody kind of is on the same playing field, each county in the state of Georgia is considered a part of a judicial circuit. Our judicial circuit is the Brunswick Judicial Circuit. I think it's Liberty Long and Bryan County are part of the Atlantic Judicial Circuit. The Waycross Circuit is like Ware County, Bacon County, Coffee County, and another couple in Pierce County. But our circuit, the Brunswick Judicial Circuit, is Camden, Glenn, Wayne, Applin, and Jeff Davis. There's been a couple times in the past that, and I don't think it was started from this commission, and I'm not sure if it was started on the commission level or attorneys or how kind of the grassroots started, but probably about 20 years ago is the last time that was started here, to split our judicial circuit into two separate ones and basically have Camden and Glenn as one judicial circuit, and us, Jeff Davis, and Applin, and maybe add like a Long County or another county from a different circuit and create our own judicial circuit. At that point in time, I've not seen anything official, but what I heard was that it was not financially feasible from the state level. It is a viable option, and I think to start something like that, kind of at the grassroots level, like what we do now, I think you have to have conversations with your state representatives. You think you have to get them on board from this standpoint, that creating your own judicial, I'll say creating your own, but breaking away from your current judicial circuit to start a new one takes a large financial commitment from the state. And what I mean by that is when the state agrees to do that, the state has financial responsibilities to that circuit to provide at least a state-paid district attorney, a state-paid secretary for that district attorney. They do have other funding for the district attorney's office. They currently provide funding for an ADA for every sitting Superior Court judge. That would be state-paid. On the Superior Court judges level, they'll have to look at the population of the circuit and determine how many judges are necessary. So you could have a circuit that might have 3 sitting Superior Court judges. Ours currently, we have 5 sitting Superior Court judges, but their salaries are paid for by the state. And then now you have funding that's provided for a public defender's office that's also provided from the state. Rough estimates that, and this is just me reading in the past about the last one that happened in Richmond County, which I think was maybe 2-3 years ago. I want to say it was close to like an additional $1.5 million a year. And don't quote me on that. That's just kind of something I'm getting off of memory, that the state has to put resources into basically what that new circuit would be. To me, there could be a potentially huge benefit to Wayne County if you did something like that from this standpoint. If you think about it in terms like what I just said, that the state's paying for these resources. So the state's currently funding, I think, 9 state-paid assistant district attorneys. They're paying for 5 Superior Court judges. They're paying the district attorney's statutory salary. And those state resources are spread amongst Camden, Glenn, Wayne, Jeff Davis, and Applin. If you have, and obviously Camden and Glenn are a larger part of our circuit, so kind of conventional wisdom will say they probably get the benefit of more state resources than what we do. If a new circuit was broken off and we were in there, say with the Jeff Davis, Applin, I'd just throw an extra county or 2 in there to make a new circuit. You would think if we're all of equal size that we'd get the benefit of more state-paid employees. Reciprocally, how that affects y'all, or how I would think it would benefit the commission and at the same time Wayne County, if you have more state-funded positions, you don't have to fund as much for, in this instance, we're talking about having to pay county ADA positions. Well, if you've got more state-funded positions, that's less money on the county level that you have to pay to fund to have the same amount of resources in there, if that makes sense. So is it viable? In my opinion, yes, it's viable. But I think, and especially with the new session coming up, I think if it's something that you want your state delegation to take serious, they're probably right now making their agenda for the new session that's coming up. I would tell you, we probably need to start having those conversations and putting it on their radar and show them that you're serious. And I would say that you probably need to get the, other counties in the circuit, or that you want to propose for the new circuit to, reach out and have conversations with their commission and some representatives from them and see if we can get some traction in the state, because that's ultimately who's going to make the decision is the state.
Does anybody know when the last time Wayne County was without any kind of ADA here?
I can tell you as far back as I can remember. I know there's people in the audience that has a longer memory as I do, but prior to Stephen Kelly becoming the district attorney, the sitting district attorney was Glenn Thomas. He was from Wayne County. And I know at least from that point forward, we've always had at least 2, if not more, attorneys in the Wayne County District Attorney's Office.
So that leaves no attorney in Jeff Davis, because there's not an office there, correct?
There's never been an office in Jeff Davis.
Is there an office in Appling County?
There is an office, but it's what Mr. Drawley was saying. It's my understanding that all attorneys have been told that their office is now in Glenn County. Now, I do want to add on there, he still has while there may not be attorneys in these offices, he's got a constitutional duty to prosecute the felony cases in these counties. So even though he may not have, just like in Jeff Davis, never had an office, he still has to prosecute the cases. Even if the attorneys aren't sitting here, he still has to prosecute the cases. Now, this is more the negative side effects, at least in my opinion. Part of his constitutional duties, or the constitutional duties of his office, is to provide basically opinions or provide legal opinions, legal help to officers that might have a case. So a lot of times, and I can tell you from experience, you got JPD, you got the sheriff's office. There's a question about, if they should interview this person, or about the evidence, or about how good the case. They will drop by the district attorney's office, and it's nice to have an attorney there to answer the question. So your prosecution should continue, but you're going to lose that. And of course, you'll have victims calling up there wanting to know about the status of their case. If there's not an attorney there, they can patch them through to Brunswick. Speaking as an attorney, it would be extremely difficult to work Wayne County cases and be in Glenn County. Can it be done? Sure. Is it going to be as effective? To me, I don't think you're going to be as effective, but obviously I think the biggest connotation there is going to be that if you don't have attorneys working here full time, you're obviously going to create a backlog that's going to backlog the jail. So that's kind of probably the biggest issue that you're going to have to address.
Paul, you are withdrawing from us the consideration of the third. Do you have an opinion on my suggestion that we explore other counties' willingness or desire to maybe split the judicial circuit?
Yes, ma'am. I've usually got an opinion on everything, but I try to be quiet unless y'all ask me. And since you've asked, I can go ahead and tell you. I mean, and this is Paul's opinion, and Mr. Beaver might could weigh in or something if I get off base. But I mean, it just makes more sense to me because from someone who has owned a business in Glenn County and worked with the Glenn County law enforcement years ago, Glenn County's changing a lot. They're really a tourist town, and I love going there, and I love the county itself. But I wouldn't necessarily say that their demographics are a lot like Wayne, Appling, and Jeff Davis. It's not that bad now, but when you think about the future, it's going to be different. And what we've already seen in elections for Superior Court judges and for DAs, that if you win Glenn County, you win the Brunswick Judicial Circuit. So for that reason alone, I mean, I personally, I mean, not even from a county administrator standpoint, but just personally, I would absolutely love to see us have a circuit made up of those 3 counties, or maybe even a 4th or something that is more representative of our demographics, because then we're choosing candidates from our local populace, if that makes sense. And I think that all 3 counties would have a lot more say-so in that voting process. I think it would be a lot more fair in that regards.
And Commissioner Hickox, if you don't mind me adding this in there too, our circuit is unique. Maybe not from a population standpoint. Comparatively speaking, we might be on par with like a Cobb County top circuit, whatever, just across, you know, the way it's broken out. We're unique that I believe if we're not the largest, we're either the second or third largest longest circuit in the state. It takes approximately about 2 hours to get from Camden all the way down to Jeff Davis. If you're the district attorney or even ADA, I mean, it's a 2-hour commute either way. And the way DA's offices are set up now, you really are a circuit employee. It's very hard to say that you're a Wayne County employee that works for the DA's office, Glenn County, because the resources are so scarce, and I think that's across the state. So if you consolidate the circuit, you know, again, I think you kind of help from that regard that, you know, it's not as long of a travel from Appleton to just to Wayne County to Jeff Davis as it is from Appleton all the way up to Camden there. So I think you get the benefit of that. You know, the other thing, and you know, of course I'm a practicing attorney and I have to practice in front of the 5 Superior Court judges. I think they do a phenomenal job here. One benefit that I think you could have though is, you know, we hadn't had a sitting Superior Court judge from Wayne County in my memory. The closest one that we've had is Judge Wiltz, who was from Jeff Davis, and the others have been from Glenn County. And that might not sound like it means a lot, but just from a practicing standpoint, you know, if you have a judge that has a office here or chambers here, that he comes here more than once a week or once a month, you have the ability to get warrants signed faster. You have the ability to get bond hearings. I mean, you have more flexibility in court dates that you can move things out of a jail. So from that standpoint, it could be a very huge benefit for the county.
Mr. Chairman, do I need to make a motion to allow the county administrator to explore reaching out to Appling and Jeff Davis?
I don't think we need a motion, do we?
Will you task him to do that?
Sure.
Thank you.
And we'll discuss this a little bit more when we get to the resolution on G. But thank you for bringing that up. We have Mr. Bill Schuman that's here to talk about TIF projects and contracts. So are we going? Last time I was here.
Wait, hold up just a second, Bill.
We gonna vote on that?
Yes.
I don't think we have to vote on that, because if there's no motion made, then there's nothing to,
We
you
just
know.
got to open the floor for a motion to consider an
You talking about?
attorney? Isn't that where we're at?
Yes, that's where
He
we're at.
withdrew the his
Okay.
motion. So we don't need to vote, do we?
I don't think so, do you, Andy?
What's that?
We don't need a
On B.
motion.
On B, 9B, do they need a motion because it is considered approved to actually do a yes or no? Or since the recommendation was
just
withdrawn,
considered it.
just,
Oh, no, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it was just withdrawn.
it was considered, so, yeah.
Mr. Bill, you have the floor.
Last time I was here talking about the Peace Block projects in relation to the industrial park area and the new main commerce center, I shared with you that there are 3 field projects and that we were going to manage it as one big project. And so we've gone through that process, completed design, and gone through the bid. We only received one bid, and that was from Georgia Asphalt Producers. And the bid was $8,333,590. And we actually have received permission from the TIA office with GDOT to provide us $1,460,000 for inflation. The estimates originally were put together 5 years ago in 2019, pre-COVID. And we all know what, excuse me, the inflation has been on most construction work since that time. So the inflation that they gave us was based on 3% a year, and I think it was six years, I believe, because I believe they actually gave us 18%. So what we've done is taken the estimate and apply the inflation inflation for the three projects, and the adjusted budget for the project now would be $9,383,572. That's the total project budget. And then our forecast right now for spending on it would be $9,358,800.90. That's about $25,000 below what the budget amount would be. And the thing that's important is to remember that these funds are not coming out of the county nor the city coffers. This is a joint city-county project, but the funding is coming out of the T-SPLOS funds that are being taken by the Heart of Georgia. Actually, the Treasury Department is the one that collects them, but this is T-SPLOS money, it's not local money. So what we need now is the city has already bought into the project. We need the county's concurrence on it to move forward. And with that, I can answer any questions, hopefully, that you may have.
Mr. Bill, how long will this project take?
It'll probably take about 16, 18 months to complete.
And this is where they've already got cleared.
Part of it is.
Right.
yeah.
So is this the turn lane on the 84? It's part of it,
That's part
and
of it, yeah.
Sunset?
That's part of it, yes.
Mr. Bill, I put a copy, kind of a copy of y'all's map if you wanted to just point out. I think the green is the Sunset widening part.
That's correct, yes. And this is what you were just talking about.
Okay.
Do you have a corner?
Well, it's a TV, so
Okay,
it's a,
that's
it's
all
a, well, I mean, it'll do this. See, it'll highlight it. I mean, that's all it'll do. I don't,
Yeah.
okay.
This is where the turn lane is that Commissioner Hickox was referring to off of 84. And we call that the entrance road into the Commerce Center. The Commerce Center is about 300 acres right through this area here. Okay, then the Sunset Boulevard project, it's, by definition, it's a widening project, but it's an improvement project for Sunset Boulevard. What the theory is behind all of this and the connectivity of the roads is to, in essence, I hate to use the term truck route, but that's what we're basically doing. We're trying to get the truck traffic off of Sunset here and diverting it around this direction, so that if you're going 84 west, you would go this way, 84 east, you would come this way and go up Henson Mosley Road over to 341, whichever direction you want to go. But then the purple here is the quote would be the project that's assigned to the city. And so it's the centerpiece. They all are connected together. You can't do all of it unless they're all involved in it and approved. So you can't do the project without that. So now if these industries here want to access 84 East, 301, 341 South, they would come down to 301 at this point. And there's a separate T-SPLOS project that's in the works now from that GDOT's going to handle themselves. There will be a roundabout here down in front of the country club. And so from there, you know, you come up, you can pick up 341 up here, you know, at McDonald's and go on around the bypass to 84 and 301. This red line is a fourth project. It's not part of the big project. However, it does connect with it, and that's Great Southern Way, which essentially is just a resurfacing project. And it's out for bids right now, but it's not totally tied to the big project. It's something, it's needed, but it's not part of the big picture.
So when we agree to this, that's the last component, and we're ready to take bids?
We're ready, we got the bid, we're ready to award a contract as soon as we get the county approval.
This is discretionary money. The one that we get from the portion of it is not?
This is not 25% discretionary.
Okay.
On the sheet that I put in the package there, these projects on TIA are assigned either regional, local, and then discretionary is something we do ourselves, you know, with that money. We just get that money and we can spend Commerce Center and the Sunset Boulevard improvements are assigned as regional projects. And the thinking there, whenever that decision was made, was the impact it literally will have on the region, because hopefully the development that will take place in here, will have an impact on a lot of areas outside of Wayne County, just because of the type of work that's gonna be going on there, the industry, the shipping, and all of that stuff that will be impacted. But, and then if you'll notice, the South Macon Street Connector was assigned as a local project. The way the T-Splosh is set up, there's three buckets of money. 37.5% of those tax dollars goes to regional, 37.5% goes to local, and then, as Commissioner Hickok said, we get the 25% that comes into the coffers to do as we want, as long as it's transportation related.
But it's not coming out of our 25%. This is above and beyond what we would normally get.
It's coming totally out of the
Right.
tax, the 1% sales tax.
That's what I wanted you to say.
Commissioner, if I'm not mistaken, these projects here were the projects we had to come up with that we would present up front at the round table, that projects that we wanted the TIA to fund. So these were the ones that we presented first that we wanted to do, that the region tax would go towards. So this is the TIA money. The discretionary money comes later.
Right. This started when I became a commissioner.
Right. This
That's
is not
when we
gonna
started.
affect
That's
it at
right.
all.
We submitted a list of projects to the
Right.
roundtable that, as he's indicating, and the executive board of the roundtable, they're the ones that finalized the list that was actually accepted. And these projects here were on the final list. Now, there are some additional ones, yet to come, but they're not associated with the scope of what we're doing here. There's several other projects out in the county that we'll be working on in addition to these.
And after these projects were submitted up front, in the round table, we all looked at them, and then that's when they voted on to accept these projects. So these projects were accepted. Now, they're being funded. Whatever money is raised goes toward that specific project. That's why you can't take money from that project and shift it to another project, which some people talked about earlier in the process. And that's not gonna happen. They can't do that.
You want to make a motion? Do you want to make the motion?
Sure. I make a motion that we, accept, the bids, or,
I have a second.
yes,
I'll second it.
okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any more comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Bill.
Now, unless you have any other questions for me.
Mr. Elton, you gonna,
Brandon?
you gonna be Brandon? Okay. You got Linden Drive and Bluff Road, and then J.C. Hamilton. Yes, sir.
Showing that we got two bids, initially, one of our bidders didn't bid on a change order in this thing, so it made their bid invalid. So we wound up with one valid bid, which was, Scruggs Company, and it cost of $1,230,367.02. And we would recommend that we approve that project along with the piper's consent contingency. There'll have to be some borrow material hauled in out there. It's a pretty expensive matter to do a detailed construction numbers. From the estimation standpoint, would probably cost about as much to do the calculations as it will to haul the material. So anyway, we know we have to haul some material, but we don't know how much, but the $60,000 should be at least enough, if not more than enough to cover what's gonna be hauled in.
So that's gonna be, $1,290,000.
That's right, $1,290,367.03.
Paul, would you explain where this bucket of money, which bucket of money this is coming out of, because it's not the same bucket that the last one was, correct?
That's correct. This will be out of SPOS 4. Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we accept the bid.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
All right, J.C. Hamilton Road, Mr. Elton.
Yes, sir, and I think y'all got a letter on that too.
Yes.
But there is a correction in that letter. If you look down, well, let me back up. We got a total bid price, low bid price of $570,110.81. That bid price was anticipating the GAB, rated aggregate base on it. But we bid it with an option for soil cement. We use a lot of soil cement. Usually we get better prices, but, so we bid it with an option to provide soil cement also. So we got the price that we're recommending. D.R. Long had recommended the $570,000, but there's a deduct in there if we use soil cement off of that GAB price of $106,191. So, rather than, approving the $570,110.81, we'd like for you to approve the $463,919.80.
What
We run those two options just to see what the prices would be and how things came out. And as far as, strength and stability, there won't be a significant difference.
Well, that's normally what we
That's
use
what we
anyway.
normally do anyway, so it's $100,000 cheaper, so our recommendation is go with that cheaper amount, the $463,919.80.
I make that motion that we go with the $463,919.80 bid.
I'll second that. Any comments?
So this also comes out of
Yes.
SPOS 4, which we had $4 million uncommitted funds, so we are still have a
Yes, ma'am.
surplus in that.
Yes, ma'am, that's
Got it.
correct.
Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
You leaving too, Mr. Elton? Just telling you, now's your chance.
If I may make an observation, just like the Heart of Georgia Autumn Ohio Region Commission with TIA, those projects were approved, were submitted, and they were approved, and the Region Commission Chairman voted on accepting those projects. The Heart of Georgia Autumn Ohio is more about this region we're in. When you talk about district attorney, you're talking about Brunswick, Camden, you're talking about coastal. As Region Commission Chairman, the Heart of Georgia Autumn Ohio, I vote on these projects. So if it were over in coastal, somebody else be voting on them. So if we are gonna sort of try to combine ourselves with somebody on this side in the region, it's be to more our advantage. Because when it comes to voting on these, who you think I'm gonna vote for? If they're over there, who you think they're gonna vote for? Anyway.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Next item of business is consider approved resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Department of Transportation for Wayne County Transit. Now, this is something we do annually. It's really a pass-through. I need a motion to,
Mr. Chairman, this is an annual application that we do to keep transit running. I'll make a motion that we approve it.
do I have a second?
I second it.
Any comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Jared Huffman. Fire Chief Amy Robertson, Emergency 911 Supervisor, consider approved radio towers. These towers are something we had already budgeted for, but I think because of the storm that kind of pushing it up a little bit. You have the floor, sir.
Yes, sir, we did talk about it before, especially during the presentation that I gave. And we had a radio company come in and do the countywide evaluation. I think we were still waiting on the results of that during the presentation. But Amy and I have worked with them a lot, and when they came in, they found a lot of outdated equipment, and basically recommended leaving that in place, but coming in and putting in a new digital VHF. The recommendation was to put 4 radio tower sites up, and the plan would be to try to get those on cell phone towers, which we may need to get an ordinance in place for. They said they've had a lot of success working with radio or cell phone tower companies without needing to have an ordinance, but just to protect us, we may try to get that in place before they get started if it's approved. The recent events, yes, Helene and the fire ran here also kind of emphasized the need to upgrade the radios. During the storm, I think 4 of the tower sites that are without any sort of backup power were offline. So outside the city of Jessup, communication was pretty much non-existent. As we know, the cell phone towers were knocked out as well, so we had a fire the morning of the hurricane, about 4:30 in the morning out in Madrid Springs. Once we got past about Oglethorpe Road, you couldn't understand anybody on the radio. Pulled my phone out to call somebody, cell phone was dead. So having this system in place, it would also have backup power because the cell phone sites have backup generators, but their communication equipment was knocked out during the storm. Their generators were still running. So hopefully if we have this, that wouldn't be a problem next time. One of the problems we found out at the Rainier fire though, after the hurricane came through, and we just figured this out yesterday, the Odom site was still offline because it tripped a breaker. There was something wrong out at the JC Landing Tower, and Jim Cote was able to get that one fixed and the Odom site fixed. But there's no sort of remote monitoring in place right now. So if the tower site goes offline, the only way we figure it out is if somebody's out there trying to talk on the radio and it won't work, and somebody says, maybe we need to go check on this. The newer systems would come with remote monitoring through a cell system. Not only could we monitor it in 911, but also the company would monitor it at their facility in Atlanta. Most likely they'd know it was down before we did, and they'd be calling us to tell us what needs to be done to fix it. They can log in remotely to reboot systems, kind of like what Jim went out to the site and did yesterday out by JC Landing. They would have been able to do that from a computer sitting in Atlanta. They could just turn it off, turn it back on. Nobody would have to go out to the site. Currently, we only have 7 channels, and in order to add additional channels, we'd have to buy more equipment to upgrade the system. The new system would give us the ability to have at least 50 channels, which is probably more than we would need as far as any investment around Wayne County. That'd be more than enough to give us some additional capabilities. Training channels for the fire department, training channels for the police department, so when we're out doing training, we're not tying up the dispatch channels. The total price for the 4-tower site was $571,722. The money was designated for it out of SPLOST 4 for $180,000. And then next year, the ARP money, $392,000.
I'm looking at the SPLOST 4 budget. There's not 180 in either fire or public safety. Are you gonna combine them? Is that what you're?
We kind of went ahead and committed it, because when when he came to y'all before and talked about the price and doing it, we went ahead and kind of committed those.
So it's in the 944,000?
Yeah, it's included in the committed item. They just need the approval to go ahead and get started. Is that correct? Is that what y'all are wanting?
Yes, if you all approve it tonight, then we can send them the information. They can go ahead and get started, start working on getting FCC licenses and everything else. The SPLOST 4 money would be used kind of as a down payment to get them started, and then the rest of the money out of ARP next year would finish them up as they completed the project. think it would take 4 to 6 months to get it completed and operational. And we'd also leave the old system in place. They wouldn't do anything to it. It would stay there, and we could kind of use it as a backup as long as it lasts. I don't know if it broke, if we'd want to put any money in trying to fix it, but so we would technically have a backup system as well.
Well, I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
If I remember correctly, I think in the work session that we had and you spoke, I think you said that there was only like 2 people in South Georgia that could even work on our old system, and both of those are getting up in age.
Yeah,
So I think that it seems like the issue is eventually it's just gonna go by the wayside.
yeah, when they came in and looked at a lot of our equipment, one of the technicians that was down here had never seen that system. He'd heard about it. He was a younger guy, but they said we're probably one of 2 or 3 counties in the state that may still have that type of system in operation. And luckily, we have a IT person at the sheriff's department that knows how to work on it, but if he was to leave, then we might be in trouble if it broke, and be trying to find somebody to fix it. This company said they could work on it, but finding parts for it, I mean, it's like working on a really old car. You're gonna have to go find another system to take parts out of it just to fix it.
I know we had talked about the ordinance for if we are gonna connect to cell towers, if they discontinue the cell tower, they pay for those locations. Do we need to get that passed before y'all start, or?
Talking to them about it, they don't recommend you do an ordinance necessarily. They don't say you shouldn't. A lot of places do, mostly for the protection of the equipment. But there's no reason to have it in place ahead of time, because if we did an ordinance, it would be retroactive to any equipment we already had in place, my understanding.
So these towers, are they county exclusive, or will you be able to communicate with Screven, Odom, and Jessup?
So yeah, it'll be, anybody could be able to get onto the network in the county, and like the fire channel is used by all departments right now countywide, so.
So that brings up a question. At the Rayonier fire, you had Hinesville or either Liberty County, one of the two, both, and then also Glenn County. How did y'all communicate out there?
Kind of like me and you are right now, without the microphones.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what, I was thinking, unless y'all had their frequencies or something, I guess, which you typically may not have. So what I'm driving at, would this system address those issues? Because I know, obviously the downtown fire, Hinesville and Liberty County came over, and so,
Yeah, the current system doesn't allow for what they would call patching. So if you switch to a digital system, then 911 could have a dedicated radio in their center that if we could call them on the radio and say, hey, we need you to patch us through the Liberty County Fire Dispatch channel. They could connect that to one of our channels, and then everybody on those 2 channels can talk to each other. The analog system, some people will tell you it works. You ever got it to work?
I can patch 2 channels together, but I'm the only one that can talk to them. I can patch my JPD and my SO to one, and I can talk to them, they can talk to me, and it just ties up all those channels at one time.
but if they're on scene
But
together,
if they're on
they
scene,
can't,
I can't type, that
Yeah.
has to go through me to talk to them, it's like a freeway.
yeah.
But on that way, they would be able to talk to each other, we'd patch them through, so they would actually be able to talk to each other.
And even Rayonier has a 700-800 megahertz system, which is different than VHF. That's what they use for their radio. So at the Rayonier fire, anytime we had a group of firefighters or somebody going to a different area, we'd need 2 people with 2 separate radios to go, so the Rayonier safety team could talk to them, and we could talk to them at the same time. But having that patching ability, we had that radio in there, we'd say, hey, patch us into Rayonier's safety channel, and then we'd be able to talk to them even while we were on the way out to the fire to kind of get an idea of what was going on. It works a lot better. There's a lot of technology and software out there that people are starting to use, fire, police, EMS, that deals with the radios. And without having a digital system, none of that technology works like it's supposed to. So it opens the door for further resources.
And this also is gonna fix the problem when they're a long ways away in certain areas, K-Ville and things like that, because I've listened on a scanner through the storm and you can't hear them. I mean, I assume they call you on the cell phone because you can't hear them on the radio.
Yeah, our current tower, the biggest one we have is right under 200 feet, that's a JC. Most of ours are, what, 100 feet, I think is what we average.
Yeah,
And your cell phone towers go anywhere from 200 to 300 feet, so that covers your mileage. It broadens your mileage as far as your radio frequency and being able to talk, widens it out.
So you don't have an officer or an EMT or a fireman out there that could possibly be cut off from civilization at certain times when they need help? Okay.
This will cover that.
if you listen to the radio just about any given day, you will hear somebody on the radio. If you're lucky, you can hear them say, I'm gonna place you a phone call, because that's the only way you can talk.
Well, I've heard them talk to another officer that was closer and then tying up another officer to transfer the information back to the 911 center before. So,
And most of those people are talking on mobile radios, which is what's mounted in the vehicle. So trying to talk on a portable handheld radio out in the field, it's
Even
virtually
worse.
impossible. We can talk to each other on a fire scene, but in order for us, if something bad happens and we need to talk back to dispatch, we have to go back to our vehicles and talk on that radio because they can't hear anything we say on portable. The digital has a much greater range and the audio clarity is 10 times better. So each tower site will reach out further than the current one, but it also allows for portable coverage throughout the county. It's just overall, it's a totally different system. It's newer technology and works way better than what we currently have.
I open the floor for a motion to consider approve the towers.
I make a motion that we approve it for $572,000, which is well worth somebody's life.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Patrick Parsons, EMS Director, consider approve EMS generator.
I'm seeing this for the first time.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say, Patrick. So we got a bid in late today, right before the cutoff, that second one on HDI. And so obviously, and I apologize, I've been super busy, but that's no excuse. I should have called you to let you know.
I will tell you,
And you can make the recommendation now.
so during the hurricane, first of all, EMS does train, and we could use some training channels as well. I know Jared left us out during that conversation. But, no, so during Hurricane Helene, we did lose power like everybody else did. And our generator worked for approximately about 45 minutes before it failed out of the EMS building. During that time, we lost everything. We lost our radios, we lost our phones, we lost the ability to charge our trucks, of course, everything else. Come to find out, the generator is too small for that building and to charge everything we need to charge. Once the storm passed and it was safe to go out and look at it, we was able to reset the generator and to regain power to the building. But once again, the generator is way too small for that building. So what we had to do to compensate, during the day, we shut off all the lights in the building. We turned our air conditioner up to 75 so it wasn't raining so much. Once my crews took showers, we turned off the water heater. Of course, we didn't have cable, so we made sure all the TVs were turned off. And then even though we tried to supply ice as much as we could, we had to pull the breaker to our ice machine, just so we could keep our radios and our trucks. What we had to keep going up and running was our radios and our trucks was the most important things. So I let Paul know that we had a pretty much massive failure out there with our generator. So Paul immediately started working on what we needed to And like I said, I'm really seeing this for the first time like you are. And that's really what we're gonna need to be able to maintain power out there for that building once we lose power again. Now, I will tell you, every Tuesday, that generator does test itself, but that generator only runs for about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes on a test. 10 to 15 minutes, it runs great. Everything stays on. But during that storm, it's not able to maintain itself like it needs to keep us up and running like we should. And I'm telling you what, it was very scary. We did go black where I didn't have ambulances on the street, but I did have crews in our smaller vehicles going out and trying to take care of our citizens. And when I can't get a hold of them by radio or by phone, that's a very scary thing. So I need to be able to at least keep my radios up. Well, of course, we couldn't talk on radios very well either.
Is it tested under a load?
Yeah, I'll test under low, but they only test for about 15 minutes.
So it cuts your power off and then goes,
Yeah, it tests
okay.
about 15 minutes, but during that 15 minutes, it's fine.
right.
But when it's actually having to actually carry a load, it just can't do it. So, but you're seeing what, he came out today, walked the building, looked at our panels, seeing what we actually carry, and this is his recommendation, what we're needing. So the recommendation, consideration, approval, Satilla is $32,000. HDI power and controls is $29,312.50. We are gonna repurpose the generator, excuse me, that's out there. I believe we're gonna take it to the Madrid Springs where we can, hook up the tower, the radio tower that's out at Madrid Springs. So if we lose power there, that tower continues running so we don't lose radio signals. So it's not like we're just chucking that one, we are gonna repurpose that one. So, I'm asking the board to consider and approve to replace the EMS, generator with a bigger one and repurpose the current one that we have.
So when the new towers come online, will that generator be moved somewhere else?
The plan would be to leave it out there for the Madrid Springs station. That one is big enough to run that whole fire station. But until the radios are upgraded, we would leave that power side in place until the time they quit working. It would still continue to power.
So it has not been a year since we voted on this. So what, obviously, we had a checks and balance that didn't work. But with that, if they had installed what we ordered, you're saying it wouldn't have been enough anyway.
I wasn't here when the original conversation was happening, so I don't know what the original conversation was.
That
But
was
I can
Richard.
just tell you from sitting out there during Helene, that generator is not enough, ma'am.
Yeah, we voted on a 32 kW
Yeah.
and wound up with a 26 kW,
Yeah,
correct?
Generac quit making the 32 kW, and we didn't find out any of this until after the 26 was installed. And so,
Did we pay for the 32?
no, we paid for a
Thank you.
26. Yes, ma'am.
Open floor for a motion. Consider approve the generator.
We
I
don't
make-
have a choice.
I
We
make
have
a
to have it.
motion that we approve the bid with HDI Power for $29,312.50.
Mr. Chairman, I say, these are gas, propane, natural.
Natural gas.
Natural gas.
We've got a hookup that it's actually connected to natural gas.
Right, and the one at Madrid Springs will be propane, but at EMS, they have a natural gas hookup.
Okay.
Mr. Drawdy, in my book, I have a cost of $32,000. Is that wrong?
It is. What happened is I reached out to two more companies on Commissioner McCrary's request, and one of them did reply we gave them a cutoff for 2:00 today, and one of them replied like right after lunch. Well, one of them, HDI Power Controls, he had went out because they're super busy at the mill, even though I gave it to him a week or two ago. But they've been super busy at the mill. Anyway, he was able to go out this morning and look at our EMS building and then go out to Madrid Springs and look at there. And so that's when he gave us the price of $29,312.50. So that's the one that Mr. Parsons is recommending.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes.
Motion and second. Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Patrick.
Last meeting, we discussed the district attorney's office and voted to withhold the DA's supplement until we had a audit. So far, we do not have that audit. So we have a resolution requesting a financial audit of accounts for the district attorney. And I trust you've had time to look those over. And I open the floor for a motion to consider approve resolution. This basically gives him 30 days to, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, 30 days to use an audit.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. I'll second it. Any comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
Yes.
While we're on the subject of the DA's office, I'd like to make a recommendation in the form of a motion that this board withholds the district attorney's supplement of $8,400 effective January 1, 2025. And the reason I put that date in is we're not allowed to change his supplement during his term. His new term does start January 1, and I make that recommendation in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any comments?
Question. Anthony, can we legally do that?
Let me read you,
uh,
let me read you an excerpt from ACCG.
Okay.
Says, district attorneys are state officers who are paid by the state. However, the county may supplement the district attorney's salary in the amount determined by the local legislation in the amount determined by the commissioners, whichever is greater. The Board of Commissioners may provide an additional supplement if the district attorney provides child support recovery, which he does not. It goes on, but that's the meat and potatoes of it right there.
Coach, just to answer your question, statutory, I think the chairman just quoted the correct statute right there. It says that the county may supplement it. We don't have any local legislation as it relates to, any formal local legislation as it relates to the district attorney's personal supplement. So if the county commission voted to give him a supplement, obviously that amount would be the higher amount that's referred to in the statute. I will say what my understanding of the board's action at the last meeting was you're just withholding it, and we're within 3 months of the end of his term, which started January 1 of 2021 and will go through December 31st of 2024. So it's my understanding y'all just withheld it until an audit has come. An audit still hadn't come. While that's the correct statute for that, I believe there's an overlapping statute that's going to basically, and I can't quote it right off the top of my head, I don't have it right here in front of me, but essentially that you can't change the salary of an elected official during the term of office. However, his new term of office will begin January 1. So if the commission did decide to not budget for not provide a supplement beginning January 1, and y'all basically semantically amend the budget to take that out of the budget, his supplement, I believe you'd be on pretty solid legal footing as far as that goes.
Thank
Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
On H, consider approve Title VI Plan for Wayne County Transit. This again is a pass-through. So I open the floor for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve it.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
On I, consider approve resolution for Autumn Hall Leisure Service Authority to apply for a grant. Let me be clear that this is not costing the county any money, but it has to go through the county. They're building a museum, is that the right word?
Conservation Center. Yes,
Conservation
sir.
Center. I think we have to apply for it.
Well, this is part of their pre-authorization or pre-application package,
Yeah.
that they're gonna apply for the grant, but the governing authority basically has to sign off on that.
Okay.
And there is a 25% match, but then the Autumn Hall Leisure Authority, they have money in the bank that's gonna cover that match. So no money out of general fund.
Okay. So open the floor for a motion.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So I did have concerns about this building. I've talked to several other counties years ago about this when this was starting and they were talking about getting this. And I was worried because a lot of those have just more history, nature in those buildings. They didn't have anything else. I did ask for a copy of the plans to the building. It has a 5,500 square foot area that they'll be able to use to rent out, do whatever with. So it will not only be for just the history and the information like that. I believe they'll be able to utilize this building with several, all the municipalities, everybody will be able to rent this building and use it when they're not using it for their own reasons. But after looking at the building, it is a nice building. Maybe we can get, until they get the grant, once we get that, we can get a copy of the building. But it's not just for that, because I was worried about, people go out, they look at a building, they see the nature and the history, and then they never go back. That's what I didn't want. And then the county being responsible for maintaining and the cleanliness and the maintenance of that building. And then we would be stuck with a building that we couldn't do anything with. But I don't think that's the case with this building.
Thank you. Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, before you move on, if you don't mind, and I apologize about this as well. I know y'all don't like getting late minute stuff, but the Autumn Hall Leisure Authority contacted me late yesterday, and Amanda has put another resolution in front of you. Now, this resolution is, what has happened is, this is a grant that they received either last year or the year before. It's for $147,353. This is that phase 2 of the boardwalk, if you're familiar with the boardwalk that's out there. So they received a grant for phase 2 part of it. And, everything's kind of been moving along fine. Undoubtedly, what I was told late yesterday is that the lady that was administering the grant with the state has retired. So a new person has come in and basically said, hey, y'all are missing some paperwork. You've got to have a resolution showing that Mickey Thomaston, because she's the chair of that board, it's got to show that Mickey is the administrator locally of that grant. So, only because it was, it's kind of a done deal. It's a grant they've already got. I just would like y'all to possibly maybe consider it, if that's okay with y'all.
I open floor for a motion to consider approve the
So
grant. Thank you. I have a second.
I'll second it.
Any comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
Yes.
Okay, J, Kyle Jones, Building Inspector, consider approved building permit fee schedule.
So I have revised the building permit fee schedule, in response to House Bill 461 that was passed back in July. My understanding is basically that they added some language, took some language out on certain things, but, the way I understand it, they basically just want, any project renovation that's, $75,000 or less, instead of, previously it was done on evaluation, and now just want to do it as a flat fee. So I'll provide the schedule to, be in compliance with that. Alright, I pretty much just looked at old permits to see kind of what they were in the past for smaller projects like that, and try to base it off of how many inspections I would actually do, just to kind of cover any regulatory services and the cost of that. And, came up with $175 flat fee for anything 75 or less.
And that's from, looks like to me, before they had it from 0 to 1,000 was $75, 1,000 to 15,000 was $100, and then, so all the way up to, I guess it would be 50,000, which would be 150,000. The only thing I have a problem with, it looks like to me that you're gonna push people away from actually going to get a permit when it's that high. I mean, I tried to call you today and I didn't get you. I don't like to spring them on anybody question. But to me, it just seems like it's gonna push people away and just say, well, I'm not gonna get a permit because it's $175 and I'm building a $3,000 addition.
I went back and pulled several permits that were kind of in that valuation range and compared the calculations, what the total permit fee came out to. And they, I mean, like, there's not really a situation where, if you have a project that's like $0 to $1,000, pretty much it's gonna be a project that doesn't require a permit anyways. So like, I never really saw any permits that were much lower than 175. Like there's no permits that where somebody just came in and paid 75. You have in there, like if somebody needs, new electrical service, we have flat fees for that already, but for an actual full project, I didn't find any that where people were paying much less than.
And none of that's changing for the electrical, the plumbing and the heating and air. They don't see what we see, so I was just letting them know previously what it was.
Kyle, are these fees competitive with surrounding counties?
Yes, had a guy, up in Habersham County, forwarded an email from their building inspector and, looked at their, how they're scheduling. There's like 4 or 5 pages, but theirs was said at 0 to 75,000 was at $225. So I figured, we're not quite as big as them, so.
Right. Right.
175.
Well, I pulled Liberty counties.
Sorry.
I pulled Liberty counties today because this is not my wheelhouse, so I did, I found a lot of their fee schedule. I did not find by the dollar amount. They did theirs by the square foot.
Yeah.
So I don't,
County does, like, I looked at Pierce, Long County, I don't think I looked at Glenn County, but it seems like every county kind of sets it up differently. Some do it, most everybody does it off valuation, and you have flat fees for certain other services. But yeah, it's all over the board, county to county.
So,
Some counties have, more than one inspectors, I'm not sure here, so.
well, the statute's real clear that it's not, a local government is authorized to require a business or practitioner or a professional, profession or occupation to pay regulatory fee. But no local government is authorized to use regulatory fees as a means of raising revenues for general purposes. It has to be what it cost to do the inspection. So my first look was 75 to 175, and I'm like, oh my gosh, did our costs go up that much? But you're saying that's not what happened. It's an average of what we've been paying all along. Is that true?
I try to look at, there's not really any projects that, aside from like the small services, getting a meter hooked up, is gonna require just one inspection. Pretty much any kind of project that would fall in that range is gonna, in addition to a house, you could have a $60,000 addition to a house, and I may have to go out there 4 or 5 times, just depending on what I'll be doing. Or you could have, a pole barn or something where I need to go look at the slab, and then I need to go inspect, when they put the trusses up. So that may only be 2 or 3 inspections. So I try to find a good middle ground, just figure like, what would it cost us for me, just on average, to do, 3 inspections? And that's how I think.
That's why I like it better than square footage, because pole barn in addition to your house is gonna be totally different.
Right, you got an open pole barn versus something that's enclosed, it's gonna have electrical, plumbing, that type of thing.
More inspections.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you happen to do inspections on the vote barn as it was being built? Or were you here?
No, the building itself had already been built before I started. I did go look at it. They asked me if I'd go check out the ramp, make sure it was in compliance with ADA. I did look at that, but not the building itself. Which I don't know, I guess that would probably be done since it's it's a county building, but it's in the city, so I'm not sure.
I don't know if he did or not, but I know in the past Kirk is called Don, but now I don't know about the election building. I haven't talked to him about it.
Open floor for a motion. Okay, I'll make the motion. So we approve the building permit fee schedule. Do I have a second?
You got a second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any comments?
I don't think we have a choice because, everything's going up, cost of everything. The vehicle he drives, is not gonna last a lot longer. It's gonna have to be replaced.
It's not a money-making proposition. It's,
And it keeps the county safe.
yeah. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
Yes,
On appointments,
welcome aboard.
Justin Franks, I want to thank him for serving 8 years on the Tax Assessors Board for District 1. I have been talking to a gentleman about this position, and I'd like to recommend Mr. John Shaver.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion. Would you need a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Any comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
The old one, senior.
Oh, he ain't old.
Oh, my goodness.
He's my age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Question,
Yes.
are they gonna be over there at the same time?
Yes, for 2 years.
Or what now?
John and John be there at the same time he asked.
No, it's not John that's on there. It's Paul McDuffie.
Paul, excuse me, not John.
Yeah.
John and Paul, yeah,
Is that who
Be
you,
John and Paul.
yeah.
That's his son, that's.
stepson?
Stepson.
That ain't a conflict, is it?
Not a problem?
There's an adjustment on that, anyway.
What?
Sir?
What's that?
Well, I mean, we, yeah, would we be transparent with that?
Question is, would we be transparent with that? I don't see how we couldn't be transparent with that, but,
Just, we gonna get those kind of questions, I'm just letting, you know.
Well, we'll call to vote, Madam Clerk.
That's my question.
I've already called for a vote, yeah.
Oh.
Everybody,
Sorry, call the vote,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
That's just my question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Recently we elected a election board, and there's 3-member board. This board has gotten together and appointed Josh Griffin as the chair. And 2 of the members of the board will be in a 4-year term. 1 member will be in a 2-year term. We let them work that out amongst one another, and Josh has volunteered to do the 2-year term as chairman. Do we need to vote on this?
yes.
So I make a motion that we accept the appointment of Josh Griffin as chair and his 2-year term.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Do you have any comments?
And that'll continue, will his be if he's reappointed after, will his be 4 years to
Yes.
stagger?
Yep.
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Hey,
I was the
Chairman.
County Administrator.
Real quick, y'all don't have to vote on him to be chairman. That board can choose who they want as chairman. Y'all were actually voting to stagger the terms.
Okay. Okay. Items Administrator.
The only thing I've got is, the last regular meeting, we had discussed, deeding the land behind the old Kmart to the IDA. And then y'all pretty much tasked the county attorney with working on that deed. And we have that deed here, that quitclaim deed to give that land to the IDA, or deed it over to the IDA.
And it's in front of them also.
Yes, it's in, Miss Amanda put it in front of you.
The IDA.
Since we've already voted on this. do we-
Well, no, sir, I think what we may need to do is vote on it, because I think, if I can remember correctly, Mr. Beaver, y'all tasked Mr. Beaver with starting to prepare the deed.
So we could
Okay.
And
read
now,
it
so you
before.
could read it, look at it, and now that it's prepared, then you would vote on it.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the quitclaim deed to the IDA for the property at the Kmart, behind the Kmart Shopping Center.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can we have
Hold
just
on
a
just a
minute to
second.
finish reading it,
Sure.
please?
You can read it? Ain't no pictures in it.
No, ain't no pictures. you explain one more time, we can't, about the fact that we can't sell it to them, or it would,
Paul, where's that deed?
I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
No, he was
I
asking
thought you was
Andy
talking to
to hand me
Mr.
the-
Beaver.
I just want everybody to be on the same
Right,
page.
yeah.
'Cause I don't think anybody was here when we did that. Maybe Drew was, Bob was.
I mean, statutorily, I think it's Title 36 of the Georgia Code section, basically says that you can't just kind of pick and choose who you want to sell property to. Obviously, I think
County property.
county owned property, that's right, just as it relates to the county, or any municipality or anything like that. They want to kind of create an air of fairness that if you're gonna get rid of property, that you have to do it by either a sealed bid or a public auction type deal. There's very limited exceptions to that, and I think the IDA actually fits into one of those exemptions, that, you know, being a kind of government, quasi-government entity there, that if y'all make a finding that the highest and best use of this value would be to transfer this property for there, that it fits under the statute, in Title 36 right there. And again, when within that statute, it's not selling the property, it's just transferring it to those specific entities. So as it relates to your question, you know, I think to be in compliance with the law, to me, I don't think it allows you to pick and choose who you sell it to there, but again, if the commission makes a finding that the best use of the land would be to transfer it to an entity like an IDA or, you know, a school board or something like that, that you could do it that way.
And I just wanted everybody to know that that's the reason that we were doing that, because we already give them a percentage of a mil per year to actually run their operations. Why we were not taking that out or using that into consideration is because that's legally, that's what we have to do. We either have to give it to them, we can't really accept anything for it. And that's all I have.
Can't even get a cup of coffee.
Sir?
Can't even get a cup of coffee.
Nothing. Not without going to jail.
Any other comments, Madam Clerk?
Who made that motion in that second? I'm sorry.
I second it. Mike.
I made the motion,
Okay.
and Kevin seconded it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
did you want to make a comment?
Now, I was just gonna say, now, that meant, obviously, we're gonna have to, and I'm not sure if the IDA has met yet to accept the property. I know there was I'm not sure where the request came for the property, but, you know, obviously, this vote would be kind of contingent upon them agreeing to accept the property as well, so.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes. Madam Clerk?
Okay, in your book, you have the August 2024 budget report compared to August 2023. With ARP, the revenues for '24 was $1,569,571.27. 2023 revenues, $1,416,887.20. Overall revenues are up from 2023 by 10.78%. Expenditures for 2024, $2,752,674.84. 23, $2,130,298.48. Overall expenses are up from 2023 by 29.17%. And without the ARP, revenues for '24 was $1,363,735.27. 23, $1,383,458.92. Revenues are down from 2023 by 1.43%. Expenditures for '24, $2,546,129.86, and 23, $2,061,605.20. And expenditures are up from 2023 by 23.50%. And part of that on your health insurance claims, they are up by 16.4%. Salaries and employee benefits are up by 17.22%. And then your capital outlays are up by 1469.16%. And part of that is due to your sheriff vehicle purchases for their vehicles in 2024, and we did not purchase any in 2023 through the general fund. And then the airport improvement grant, we spent nothing in August of '23, and then in 2024, we spent $223,621.36. And then your fund balances as of September the 30th, 2024, your general fund is $456,665.98. Your lost treasury account is $9,625,464.96. Your restricted accounts, SPLOST 4, $8,010,807.99. T-SPLOST, $6,186,934.94. American Rescue Plan, $2,504,692.16. And Revolving Loan Fund, $320,269.42. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes, sir. I want to thank everyone. We were blessed with the past storm that came through here. First responders, sheriff department, road department, essential workers, county administrator, and everybody for coming together, making sure that people had knowledge of what's going on and was informed. Past week, I went through some other counties, and a lot of, even though we got hit, there's people far worse than we are. I don't know if you've been through that, officer, but it's rough down there. But I just want to thank everybody for the job they did, and road department, and everybody.
Did a phenomenal job. Commissioner Hickox?
Couple things. One, it wasn't just county employees or city employees. When the storm came through, I was most amazed by neighbor helping neighbor. It was churches here helping people over there. It was people spending hours putting needs and resources together. I saw people who don't like each other at all go, what can I do to help you? It was very nice to see humanity at its very best at the time when things were at their very, very worst. The next thing is SPLOST 5 and the community center. I've kind of been asking since July for us to focus on the community center. Do you have any kind of plans for us to go visit a community center?
Director Eccles has picked out some spots, but kind of as you can see, as I don't want to throw Speck under the bus, but just like him not being able to come to the last meeting and this meeting because he's busy, it's been the same thing with the community center. But I will reach out again with him and try to nail down a day that we can go look at something. He's got some places picked out. It's just a matter of us getting together, getting in a vehicle, and going.
So can we take Jason Weaver, since he's been so involved with
Absolutely.
the YMCA?
Right.
Yes.
That's right. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. That's all.
Do you mind if do you mind if I piggyback, Mr. Chairman, on something Commissioner Hickox said?
Sure.
Jared, weren't you with me when we were talking to somebody, or maybe even you brought it up? And I found this to be interesting, that it was someone that was here working for the county or in the county, but they were from outside the county, and they were kind of sort of / astounded at the fact that just what you said, Commissioner Hickox, people were getting out and doing stuff. They were citizens were getting out, clearing roads, helping other folks, and I guess where they had come from, they just weren't used to seeing that. It was wait on government to come help us. And that was just different. That was one of the things that I so much appreciated. You saw individual citizens coming together, feeding communities, doing everything that government typically doesn't do well.
If our politicians would do the same thing, we'd have a better country, wouldn't we? They work together.
One thing too, I wanna mention that even, doing that, everything was down, Transit still ran, they took people to dialysis.
Yeah, she actually, because she lost power, Miss Carolyn lost power, her and Miss Erin actually moved up to the EOC because they had the generators running and ran transit from the EOC. So thank you for bringing that up. That's absolutely correct.
And that was actually for a lot of their dialysis patients.
Yeah, dialysis.
Commissioner McCrary.
That's why I've lived here for 56 years, and I'm not going anywhere, because when, you know, I don't care who you are, if you can't see the love and compassion for everybody in Wayne County, people stepping up to do what they have to do. I mean, when I got out and was looking at stuff, the wind was still blowing, and there were people trying to get to wherever they needed to go. I don't know why they were on the road, but I was trying to help clear the roads, and not one of them would drive by you. They would stop and help, and that's what Wayne County's all about. And that's why we're up here trying to do what's best with the taxpayers' money. A lot of people complain about the tax rates we have and things like that, but after we took 1.2 million out of the budget last year, we are definitely, you may not think we are, but we're trying to utilize every penny to the best of our ability to make this county what we all want to live in, and you want to stay here and don't want to go in. And your kids, I mean, we've all discussed that before. You get taxes too high with frivolous spending and things like that, and people want to move away, but we want them where I definitely want my grandkids to stay here. That's all I have. Thank
You spurred one more, Mr. McCrary. I apologize, Mr. Chairman, but I just can't help it. Literally today, I've gotten some numbers, started getting some numbers in from some different departments. And Mr. Elton, if you know this, you can correct me. But after Debbie, not Helene, after Debbie, we have hauled over 1,089 dump truck loads of dirt to repair our roads.
Wow.
Y'all, that costs money.
Yeah.
The dirt costs money, those dump trucks cost money, the fuel to drive them, the people to drive them, 1,089 loads of dirt just to repair all of our roads.
Wow.
And they did it in like record time. I mean, you know, from that Thursday or Friday of the storm by Monday, you know, they were ready for buses to roll. So
Tremendous job. Tremendous. I don't have anything else. I was gonna save some of the things that you all said, but there's no need in me repeating what you've said. I'm just proud of the people we have in Wayne County. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.